Hello, Dee Dee. Welcome. Welcome to those who are joining. We'll get started in a few minutes. All right. Let's get started. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Hello, Jay. Welcome. Well, we'll get started with our meditation now for about a half hour, and we'll continue on with all the other activities for today's Dhammapalooza. Set your body up in whatever comfortable and stable position works for you. I don't think there's probably anybody on right now who hasn't heard my guided meditations. So for the beginning, I'll let you do the scan of the body, starting from the feet, moving up to the head, and then start to, after that, follow the breath, and I'll come in with the guided meditation in a little bit. We'll now start our guided metta meditation. Metta, the practice of metta, uses both words and visuals. The words and visuals are not the end, they're just a means to the end. The words and visuals used during the practice are for the development of goodwill and friendliness in your mind, for the abandonment of anger, hatred, ill will, resentment in your mind, and for developing warm-hearted feelings of friendliness for all beings. We'll start, as always, with giving metta to ourselves. We cannot hope to spread our metta out to all beings in the universe if we don't start with ourselves. If you like, you can visualize a sphere or a circle around you, like being in the middle of a bubble or a balloon. As you say the words, you can visualize that sphere being filled, pervaded with your goodwill and friendliness. For metta for yourself, you can also visualize yourself in front of you, like looking in the mirror and saying the words to that image. Let's begin by words to ourselves. Repeat the words. May I find happiness. May I find peace. May I live in friendship with all beings. May I find release from suffering. Remember, when you say words of metta, they're not meant to be a mantra, just something you repeat over and over again. Whenever you say words of metta, think of doing it like you would saying these words to a parent or a close family member or a close friend, with a sincere, honest wish that they find these things. You're saying it to yourself, speaking words of goodwill and kindness and support to yourself. Repeat the words again. May I find happiness. May I find peace. May I live in friendship with all beings. May I find release from suffering. Now let's begin to spread our sphere out past our bodies, encompassing ever larger physical space and all the beings encompassed in that space. Spread your sphere out to encompass the entirety of whatever building you're in, all possible beings that may be in that building, human, animal, insect, divine, seen and unseen. Repeat the words. May all of us in this building find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere out to encompass the entirety of your town, city, village. Your sphere completely encompassing that area and all the beings in it. May all of us in this town find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere out to encompass whatever state, region, or province you're in. Millions and millions of beings, human, animal, insect, divine, seen and unseen, known and unknown, completely encompassed and pervaded with your goodwill and friendliness. May all of us in this region find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere of metta to encompass the entirety of whatever country you're in. All the beings in that country immersed and pervaded in your sphere. May all of us in this country find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere to encompass the entirety of our home planet, the Earth. Trillions of beings, air, land, and sea. A pale blue dot in a sea of darkness teeming with life. All pervaded and encompassed by your metta. May all of us on this planet find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Continue to spread your sphere out into the cosmos, encompassing the entirety of our home galaxy, the Milky Way, hundreds of billions of stars and planets. Who knows how much life, what kind, where? It doesn't matter. Completely pervade and encompass this huge region, this galaxy, with your goodwill and friendliness. May all of us in the Milky Way find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. And finally, spread your sphere out to encompass the entirety of the known universe, the whole universe, whatever might be beyond, other dimensions, galaxies, we don't know. Who knows? Put your sphere ever expanding out to infinity to encompass all sentient beings in the samsaric state anywhere. May all of us everywhere find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Slowly start to come back through the universe, the galaxy, planet, region, town, building, to the room you're in, opening your eyes, becoming aware of the room around you, your body's position in it, reflecting on the state of your mind before and after. And while you do that, I'll say welcome everybody to Dhammapalooza. It is Monday night, so it is time for the Festival of Dhamma with the Maggaseka community, where we do a variety of Dhamma-related activities together. We just finished our meditation, and now I'll do something a little different. I've thought about adding some Dhammapaloozas where instead of reading a sutta, or at least instead of wholly reading a sutta, because people don't have a lot of questions these days, and that's understandable, especially for the regulars, then maybe I can give a Dhamma talk. And so I think that's what I'm going to do, a little Dhamma talk. Hello, Visaka. Hello, Kim. Welcome. Of course, it is based on a sutta, as all my talks are. Maybe not one specific sutta, but definitely things from the suttas. The sutta is always our framework, always our basis. But this is here, I'll post a link to the sutta that this talk is going to be based off of. It's called the Punya Karyavatu. Bhante Sujatu translates it as the grounds for making merit. So there are 3 grounds. Now, there's a more well-known 3 things, which is in Majjhima Nikaya. Oh, what is it? The one with I think the lady Visakha, maybe, or the where we find out the way that you can group the Noble Eightfold Path into 3 divisions: Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Right? Most people have heard this one before, but not many people have heard what I'm going to talk about now. As a matter of fact, I had never heard to talk about it ever. After years and years and years of listening to Dhamma talks, until I read it for myself in the suttas. And I found this to be actually very important. It's, in a way, another summation of the path. But not the Noble Eightfold Path per se. It's really a summation of the Buddha's gradual training. So, the 3 things that are a basis for meritorious action, for good, skillful action, are the 3 aspects of the gradual training. First is dana, second is sila, and the third is bhavana. Practicing generosity, practicing morality and virtue, and practicing mental cultivation. These 3 things also fit in. Most of you here are listening to me right now are probably regulars. I don't think there's anybody. If you are brand new, please say hello in the chat so I know. But Dhammapalooza is not as widely distributed or whatever or found as it used to be. So I think mostly we only have a small amount of regulars that come to Dhammapalooza these days. And so these 3 things, maybe you have heard me say, the beginning of the Buddha's path is letting go, the middle of the Buddha's path is letting go, and the end of the Buddha's path is letting go. Well, these 3 things are exactly that as well. The beginning of the Buddha's path, dana, you look up the gradual training, the beginning of the gradual training is dana. That's the start of letting go. The middle of the path is sila, taking on precepts, living by virtuous principles. That's also a letting go. The end of the path is bhavana, mental cultivation, understanding our craving, sense restraint, also letting go. Right? So the whole path from the beginning to the end is the practice of letting go. And so let's go over each one in turn. So dana. A lot of Westerners who come to Buddhism, they just want to do the meditation, and they might even kind of, gain a kind of arrogance that I've seen. And I probably admit to having a little bit of this as well in the early days. But a kind of arrogance of looking down on traditional Buddhist peoples because maybe they don't practice meditation. They just practice dana and maybe sila. And there's the thought that practicing dana is not practicing the path. And that's actually a false view. Everybody has to start somewhere. If all you do in this life is practice lots of dana, lots of generosity, lots of giving of your time, your money, your effort, whatever, you are doing the Buddhist path. If you keep doing that, life to life to life, you will become awakened. Now I'm not saying just dana brings you to awakening, but you practice the dana lifetime, and then because you're so generous, you're born in a way that you actually can go deeper into the practice, and maybe you become a monk or whatever. And so over many lifetimes, you start small, but that leads down the path. You eventually go further down the path. Right, this is why the Buddha says to the monks, do not fear developing merit. Now, do not fear developing skillful deeds, because they fruit. Now, the Buddha will say things like, greater than giving 500 barrels of food for morning, lunch, and evening is practicing metta for the length of a finger snap. That's 100% true. Not only did we practice metta for the length of a finger snap, we practiced it for a half hour today, or at least 20 minutes. So we did a very meritorious deed of bhavana, right? Cultivation of the mind. But even as a monk, even after 20 years almost as Buddhist practitioner, I still practice dana, and honestly, I don't think I'm good at it still. Because as a monk, my dana is giving up of my time and my energy to share the Dhamma with people. And don't get me wrong, I do it. I do it a couple times a week. But boy, do I jealously guard the rest of my time. Because I feel like I need to just have time to myself, or time to practice, or time to veg, or time to be away from people, or whatever. So I still personally have a long way to go when it comes to being, because I've seen some monastic teachers who are so generous with their time, right? And I think, I kind of want to be that way, but I'm not quite there yet. So I am also practicing dana, just the monk's kind of dana. So even if, no matter what you're doing, if you're practicing the Buddhist path, dana is part of that path. Practicing letting go without any expectations, either for reward or for how you expect a person to use whatever you're giving them. Right? We have always, when you really look at it, when you give, there's always some string attached. Even if that string is your expectations of what will happen with what you give. That's still a string attached. You're not actually giving without holding anything back, without any expectations. So we practice letting go. We practice giving. And we practice giving, trying to do so without any expectations. The Buddha gives in a sutta a whole list of reasons why people will give. And it's like, you give because of quid pro quo. You give because, you'll have a good reputation from it. You give for all these reasons. But he only really praised two reasons why you give. The first was because giving is good. Just because giving is good. You have some right view that generosity is a good thing and I should practice it. And the second is because it ornaments the mind. Meaning that you develop, because of your generosity, because of your desire to give, because of your lack of stinginess, this is a positive mental state in the mind. You have lots of good deeds that you can reflect on with sila nusati, right? Or dana nusati, right? So it makes the mind beautiful. So these are the two reasons why the Buddha praised why you should practice Dhamma. You practice letting go. And then sila. Sila is also letting go. You just go up to some random person and you say, okay, now you have to follow the 5 precepts. And they say, what do you mean? I can't kill anything? I can't steal anything? I can't lie? I can't have sexual misconduct or whatever, do whoever I want? I can't drink alcohol? Are you crazy? No, I'm not going to do any of these things. Right? I can see, people would not like these things being forced on them. And rightly so. But when a person starts to have a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of right view, and they realize, well, you know what? I actually should develop these precepts. I actually should develop my virtue. I should perfect my virtue. That's a letting go. That's a letting go. And a lot of people who, become Buddhist converts and they start doing the 5 precepts, and they might have, they usually have a hang up on one or the other, but the most common one to have a hang up on is the 5th one. Not taking drinks or drugs causing heedlessness. And they'll cite, they'll break out studies, having a little bit of wine for dinner, that's good for your health or whatever. It's just like a monk breaks out studies that say, dark chocolate is good for your health. So that they can have dark chocolate at night. This is, you can break out a study that'll tell you anything. No problem. Studies will tell you one thing and the other thing at the same time, depending on who paid for them. But even if you can justify everything, most people will get to the point where they say, you know what? Even if maybe it's okay, it's healthy if I would have if I'm really only having a glass of wine for dinner, I still am going to give that up. I don't need it. I'd rather just be developing all the precepts, developing my sila. Right? That's a growth. That's a letting go. Right? Even with all the justifications in their mind and all the studies and all the whatever, they still decided to let go. Why? Because they saw the benefit in it, the value in it of having good sila. And then, when you have good dana and good sila, your mind is ornamented. You have lots of wonderful thoughts of dana nusati, reflecting on your good generosity, sila nusati, reflecting on your good sila. You don't have restlessness and remorse because your sila is good and you're not worried about people getting revenge on you and bad things happening to you, your karma coming back to bite you or anything like that. When you start to develop the mind, then you've cut through a lot of junk already. So many things that would cause you to have trouble if you just jumped right into meditation. I have not seen this personally for myself because I don't really, because I'm not have my own place yet or anything like that. But like I've heard a couple monastics, like Bhante Sudaso, tell a story about how this was maybe a Thai or an Indonesian woman, and she had throughout her life, as a traditional Buddhist woman, she'd practiced lots of dana, lots of sila. And when she came to Empty Cloud and she started to meditate, Bhante Sudaso said that she could sit for an hour with no problems. Her mind is calm and peaceful, etc. And I said, yeah, that's what it says in the suttas, doesn't it? Right? That's exactly what the Buddha says. That makes perfect sense. Yes, exactly. That's why, the Buddha's basically like, even if you don't, for any other reason, want to practice dana and sila, at the very least, your meditation is not going to go far without it. So even if your only goal is for your meditation, it's still very important to develop dana and sila. But bhavana means to cultivate. Like a farmer that plants seeds in the ground, right, and waters them and fertilizes them, etc. When somebody is developing bhavana, this is a cultivation of the mind, a developing, a growing of the mind, like a farmer develops and grows their crops. So when you're talking about bhavana, you're talking about sense restraint. You're talking about right effort. What is right effort? To abandon unskillful, evil, unwholesome mind states, thoughts, words, etc., and to develop skillful, wholesome, good mind states, thoughts, words, habits, etc. Right? And to develop samatha and vipassana, the mind states of tranquility and insight. Developing the practices of anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, and satipatthana, the foundations of mindfulness. And all of this is part of bhavana. Cultivation of the mind, developing of the mind. Why? So that you can start to see things as they are. The more you yata bhutta jnana dasana, to see the nature of reality, to see things as they are with wisdom, the more you do that, the more you act in line with nature, you act skillfully, you perfect your sila, you perfect your dana, And then your mind lets go of craving. You have more wisdom, more insight, less suffering. So these three things are very important aspects of the practice, because they're all about, from the beginning to the end, they're all about letting go. You are letting go in the beginning of small things, because that's all you can let go of. And by the end, you've even let go of the conceit, I am. You've let go of any thought, view, understanding of any kind of permanent soul or essence or anything permanent at all. You've abandoned all of those views and you're free. You've become awakened. All right, so we're at 8 o'clock, so I think that's a good time to start. That was just a very brief kind of overview of Punya Karyavatu, the three bases of meritorious activity. So I highly encourage you all to develop this. Hello, James. James, this is a name I'm not familiar with. Is this your first time with us? Or do I know you from the Discord or any other place? Oh, look at it. Kim says, the fifth one was tough. It took 4+ years of meditation to give up alcohol. Sadhu, yeah, well, and then you obviously did. Because you said you get it took you 4.5 years. Very good. Visaka says, I have a couple questions. If you see someone in need and you help with some resentment, does it still count? Yeah, no, that's a meritorious deed to help that person. Um, you know, I would kind of investigate why the resentment is there. See if it's skillful at all to, see if you can let that go. But still, so even all of the other things that the Buddha listed are still good things, like the ways of, even if you are kind of practicing dana for your own benefit, like, to get your name on a building or whatever, like quid pro quo, it's still practicing dana. It's still better than not doing it, right? So they're all good, but the Buddha just, tells us quite clearly what is the best, what is preferred. If you know someone is trying to get your attention, but you avoid this person, is that wrong? Depends. I mean, that depends. There's a lot of contextual things there, right? Yeah, there's a lot, it depends on your relationship with the person, what they're trying to do in getting your attention, etc. All right, James. Well, how did you find the channel, James, if you don't mind me asking? You say, I finally began taking the fifth precept seriously. Almost immediately, my meditation took off. Right? I think I will also maybe, as we do, I like doing this. I think this is, I don't know if you all as lay people like to hear these, but the last, 3-4 weeks that we've been doing the Tarigata and the Tarigata, I think that's quite nice to hear the verses from these elder bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. Um, so we can read a little bit. I'll wait for James' response. All right. So we are in the Therigatha. That's the verses of the senior monks, the senior bhikkhus. Uttiya. When I was ill in the past, mindfulness arose in me. Now I am ill once more. It's time for me to be heedful. Gavaratiriya. Pestered by flies and mosquitoes in the wilds, the formidable forest, one should mindfully endure, like an elephant at the head of the battle. I do find it funny when I'm around lay people, and maybe not even just lay people, people who are not practitioners, how much mental effort, mental and physical effort arises due to aversion to a mosquito. Meanwhile, I'm like chilling in the forest and there's like 10 mosquitoes on me at once. And granted, I probably would have a lot more fear of mosquitoes if I lived in a place that had malaria or something like that. But still, you know, it's, the Buddha talked about um, developing the best practice is what? Patient endurance. Ah, okay, James. Well, welcome. I'm glad that you said hello in the chat. It's always better when people at least make their existence, known, so I know who's there. Um, oh, Supia. I'll swap old age for the unaging, burning for quenching, the ultimate peace, the supreme sanctuary from the yoke. You get it? The unaging, same as the deathless. He's talking about I'll swap samsaric state for awakening. I'll swap craving for cessation, for letting go. The ultimate peace, the supreme sanctuary from the yoke. Love it. Sopaka. Just as a mother would be good to her beloved only child, so to creatures all and everywhere let one be good. Posia. It's always better for a smart person to avoid sharing a seat with such women. I went from the village to the wilderness. From there I entered a house. Though I was there to be fed, I got up and left without taking leave. Samanyakani. And so just to address the last one, what you'll see in the Tara and the Therigatha are monastics who will reference things that are not explained there, but they're stories in other places in the suttas. So, and some of these I will know off the top of my head, and others I won't. The ones I know off the top of my head I will explain. But a lot of these I won't know off the top of my head because they're not monastics I'm very familiar with. All right. Seeking happiness, they find it through this practice. They get a good reputation and grow in fame. Those who develop the direct route ennoble a full path. to realize freedom from death. Diane Didi says, I have a dragonfly tattoo. They eat mosquitoes. Yeah, I like dragonflies. I don't know that I could say I like mosquitoes, but I do have a lot of metta for them because I practice a lot of metta for them. I've always liked dragonflies since I was a kid. It's kind of like the spiders. I practice lots of metta for the spiders, and spiders can be very useful in a house, taking care of the other bugs. All right. Kumaputta. Learning is good, living well is good. The life without abode is always good. Questions on the meaning, actions that are skillful. This is the ascetic life for one who has nothing. Kumaputta Sahayaka. Some travel to different countries, wandering undisciplined. If they lose their meditation, what will such rotten conduct achieve? So you should dispel aggression, practicing jhana, undistracted. Gavampati. His psychic power made the river Sarabu stand still. Gavampati is unbound and unperturbed. The gods bow to that great sage who has slipped all chains and gone beyond rebirth. Tissa. Like they're struck by a sword, like their head was on fire, a mendicant should wander mindful to give up sensual desire. Hey, it even rhymes. We know about, those of us on the Discord know about the head on fire. But like they're struck by a sword, that's also an interesting one. Vaddahamana. Like they're struck by a sword, like their head's on fire, a mendicant should wander mindful to give up desire for rebirth. All right, let's switch over to the bhikkhunis. Tarigata, Mettika, though in pain, feeble, my youth long gone, I climbed the mountain leaning on a staff. Having laid down my outer robe and overturned my bowl, sitting on a rock, my mind was freed. I've attained the three knowledges and fulfilled the Buddha's instructions. Mitta. I rejoiced in the host of gods, having observed the Sabbath, complete in all 8 factors, one on the 14th and 15th days and the 8 days of the fortnight, as well as the fortnightly special displays. Today I eat just once a day. My head is shaven. I wear the outer robe. I don't long for the host of gods, for stress has been removed from my heart. So just for you guys, a clarification. Now, it might sound ridiculous, but I only actually got this past year. Even when I was chanting the Patimokkha, I was just like, Bante G or Bante C, like, oh, what day is it? Like, what is, but now I understand because I thought it was complicated. I thought it was like some complicated moon science math or something, but actually it's quite easy. So the 14th and the 15th days and the 8th day of the fortnight. What this is talking about is not like days of the month. if you were to count the days between a new moon to a full moon and a full moon to a new moon, it's either 14 days between or 15 days between as you go through the year. So there's at least one new moon and one full moon in each month. And so if you counted 14 days between that one, 15 days between that one, that's what this means. And 8 days after either a new or a full moon is the quarter moon. So if you go to a Thai place or a Sri Lankan place or whatever, and they have the quarter Aposadas, this is always 8 days after a new or a full moon. So that's what this means. It's actually not complicated. It's literally just counting on your two hands or whatever, how many days between these events. That's all it is. All right. Today I just eat once a day. My head is shaven. I wear the outer robe. I don't long for the host of gods, for stress has been removed from my heart. To Abhaya's mother, from her daughter. My dear mother, examine this body, up from the soles of the feet, down from the tips of the hairs, so impure and foul-smelling. Meditating like this, all my lust is eradicated. The fever of passion is cut off. I'm cooled and quenched. Abhaya, the body is fragile, yet ordinary people are attached to it. I'll lay down this body, aware and mindful, though subject to so many painful things. I have, through my love of diligence, reached the ending of craving and fulfilled the Buddha's instructions. Right? Sama. I see your questions, Didi. I'll answer it in a minute. 4 or 5 times I left my dwelling. I had failed to find peace of heart or any control over my mind. Now it's the 8th night, 8 days after the new or full moon. Since craving, the 8th night since craving was eradicated. Though subject to so many painful things, I have, through my love of diligence, reached the ending of craving and fulfilled the Buddha's instructions. Another Sama, so a different Sama. In the 25 years since I went forth, I don't know that I had ever found serenity in my mind. There's a bhikkhu that also says this. But imagine you went forth as a monastic and for 25 years, no serenity in mind. I had failed to find peace of heart or any control over my mind. When I remembered the victor's instructions, I was struck by a sense of urgency. Though subject to so many painful things, I have, through my love of diligence, reached the ending of craving and fulfilled the Buddha's instructions. So this person, they didn't get they weren't hanging out in jhanas and it wasn't all peace and sunshine, but they kept at it, right? And they reached the end. This is the 7th day since my craving is dried up. Uttama, 4 or 5 times I left my dwelling. I had failed to find peace of heart. I approached a nun in whom I had faith. She taught me the Dhamma, the aggregates, the sense fields, the elements. When I had heard her teaching in accordance with her instruction, I sat cross-legged for 7 days without moving, given over to rapture and bliss. On the 8th day I stretched out my feet, having shattered the mass of darkness. All right. So, Didi, the three knowledges are the knowledges that somebody obtains when they become awakened, or at the process of becoming awakened at the very end. The first is the knowledge of all your past lives, or not all, because you can't, because even the Buddha tried to go back through his past lives and he couldn't find the beginning. Um, but you can know like who you were in past lives, and what clan you were part of, and what your pleasure and pain was, and the food you liked, all that kind of stuff. You can know those things. The second is how beings are born and die according to their karma. Like beings did good things in life, so they were born in heaven. Beings did bad things in life, so they were born in hell, etc. And the third is the destruction of the cankers, the taints, the defilements, depending on who's translating, the asavas. And this is the final knowledge that kind of breaches the awakening. Like that's the complete awakening at that point. All right. So I think we are good. I think we can share screen or do final business. So for those of you who are joining for the first time, this is your first time with us, you can find out more about myself, Bhante Jayasara, and the organization that I'm helping to build with lay supporters called Maggaseka. Maggaseka means student of the path. And you can find out more at the website listed on the screen, maggaseka.org, maggaseka.org. This is my headquarters. This is where you will find everything related to all activities I do, all the different streams and events I do during the week. You can find lots of articles that I've written and various other things, updates about my plans and my journeys in Colorado, things like that. So you can find all of that on the website listed on the screen. The fundraiser drive for the apartment is promising, but it's kind of stalled, but it's doing okay. We still have 8 or 9 months before the plan, so we'll see what happens in the next 8 or 9 months. Perhaps there will be enough support for us to start the Maggaseka Vihara in Colorado by next year. Oh, hello, Logan Buzzard. That's another name I'm not familiar with. Maybe another person. Okay. So yeah, you can join the Discord. It's better to send me an email because I have to send you an actual link. So send me an email to go to the website, and you see Contact Bhante J will be one of the options up top. Okay? And then I'll send you the link to join. No problem. All right. Let's do sharing of merits. Where is it? There we are. Dukkha patta chani dukkha, bhaya patta chani bhaya, soka patta chani soka, hantu sabbe pipaniyo, etavata chamehi sampatang punya sampatang, sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya, akasata jabumata deva naga mahidika punyang tang anumoditva, charang rakantu sasanang. May the suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit of ours that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas, nagas, and yakas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddhist dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right, friends, we have come to the end of another Monday night festival of Dhamma with the Maggaseka community. Another Dhammapalooza in the books. So, Sukhi Hotu, may you be happy and at ease. Practice well and be well. May you have a spiritually successful and peaceful practice until we meet again, which could be tomorrow morning for Morning Monastery Experience at 8 a.m. New York time, where we have a puja, a little Dhamma talk, and some meditation, Monday through Friday. Or perhaps next Saturday for another Insight Timer session, or perhaps next Monday for another Dhammapalooza. If I'm still alive, then who knows? All right, friends. So have a good week.